Okay, so I get alerts every day, and this morning I got one from Canon Rumours talking about a new camera that Canon are possibly releasing this year. Now it's called the EOS R5, which is obviously building on the EOS R, but it's got some specs that are pretty out there. They're quite amazing, and if they're real, then it's going to be a real contender against people like Sony, Panasonic, and people like that. So the specs, while amazing, may also present problems, and I'll go through them one by one very quickly. First of all, you've got a 45 megapixel sensor, which is fantastic for stills photographers. If you shoot stock or commercial photography, then it's absolutely fantastic. And if it keeps the Canon space, the color space, and the quality and the autofocus and things like that, then it's going to be a real winner for stills photographers. But when it comes also with the IBIS built in, that's the image stabilisation, they say you've got 5 stops just using IBIS alone. But if you compare it up with an IS lens from Canon with its own stabilisation, you're looking at 7 to 8 stops of image stabilisation, which is phenomenal. It's fantastic for low light photography. It'll be a real boon for wedding photographers because you'll have that the IBIS, but you'll also have the silence of a mirrorless camera, so it could be perfect for wedding photographers. Then you've got 8K video. Now, before I do that, you've got 4K video shooting at potential 120 frames a second. That's amazing. That's an absolute game changer. Well, not game changer, but it's phenomenal. I love slow motion, so being able to slow down, I think that works out at 5 times. You're going to have an incredible amount of fun with that. In massive high quality. Now obviously that's going to create possible heat issues if you're running it for a long time, as is the 8K 30p RAW, which Canon Rumours have stated that is a distinct possibility for this camera. Now for a camera to shoot that, you're going to need some massive processing power, and with the Panasonic, I think it was that S1H that came out, I think it shoots 5.6K or 5.5K at 30 frames a second, but it needs a lot of heat dissipation, so it's got built-in kind of air conditioning with kind of like a grid on either side to actually let air come in and cool the camera down. So unless Canon have that, I suspect that shooting 8K at RAW at 30 frames a second may be limited to maybe 12 minutes or something like that. If they've sorted out the heat dissipation and they manage to nail it, and it runs for maybe half an hour to an hour or indefinitely to maybe an off-camera recording unit, then it could be a phenomenal camera. But I'm going to have to wait and see when the camera comes out, and a few people have tested it before I believe that. Now, I'll come back to 8K in a minute, but you've also got, with using the mirrorless electronic system, you've got 20 frames per second burst. And if you're using the mechanical system, it's 12 frames per second. Both of those are fantastic for nature, sports, things like that. You've got built-in 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, which is brilliant. Not sure about the card slots or what kind of card type it takes yet. And apparently it's launching in July 2020. So not that far away, but I expect they're going to be announcing it very soon. Let's hope so anyway, and we'll see the actual specs, and I'll do another video then. But coming back to 8K, people are going to say, well, I still use 1080p monitors, HD monitors, and we've still got an antiquated HD TV downstairs. It suits us. We haven't upgraded to 4K yet. I totally get 4K. I've been filming in 4K for about 4 or 5 years now. So everything I film is in 4K, but I only really output it for clients at 1080 still, unless it's going onto a big billboard or into a conference, something like that, where they need the higher quality. So really you have to ask yourself as a consumer, why would I need 8K? So I'm filming on the 5D Mark IV now at 4K, which produces ridiculously big files. So I hope they don't use the same MJPEG as they do on the 5D Mark IV, because 8K at 30p is going to be huge files, and you're going to need a whole new system to edit it. So 8K, why is it good? So this is 4K, but I'm outputting it to you at 1080. So by filming in 4K, it gives me the ability to actually zoom in post-production like that and not lose any quality when you're outputting it at 1080. So if you think 4K is that big, 1080 is that big, you can fit 4 1080 frames in a 4K system. So I can zoom in and then go from left to right, I can pan, I can go up and down, and I can do all sorts of editing in camera that makes it look like I've actually got a cameraman operating the zoom and controls and pan and yaw and tilt and all that kind of stuff. So if 4K is like that and it fits 4 1080p's in, then 8K is pretty much going to double that. So you're going to have the ability to zoom so far in on an 8K bit of footage and move the lens around, move the camera around. You can have multiple kind of takes from each scene if you like. So it's, from an editing point of view, if you're still outputting at 1080p, it's going to be brilliant. If your clients in the future then want more 4K, you've still got that ability to fit 4K bits of footage into an 8K kind of recording. So the possibilities for editing in video are phenomenal when shooting 8K. So that's really the main reason why you're going to want to look at 8K or upgrade to 4K if you haven't done so already. So just to wrap it up, if this comes out with those specs and they work as expected and the 8K isn't limited to maybe 12 minutes and it doesn't overheat, it could be a real contender to a lot of the cameras that are coming out now with, you know, the sort of specs we're looking at, like the Panasonic S1H, which I'm dying to get my hands on, by the way. I still shoot with the old original GH5. It's still absolutely beautiful, shoots incredible footage. So it's going to take a lot for me to actually upgrade from that to something else at the moment. But if it shoots 8K and it's really good, it could replace one or two of my older cameras, maybe even the 5D Mark IV, and obviously upgrade to that for the 8K capabilities. So let me know what you think in the comments. Would you use 8K? Can you see the benefits of it? Is it a camera you'd possibly be interested in? I'd love to see your comments below, and yeah, I'll tell you more as I find out.